everyone, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where today it is time to continue the Scholasticate quests. Briardian, let's check in with you real quick before we begin. I suspected there was more to this, judging by how quickly we completed the investigation. No offense to your powers of deduction, of course. None taken. It was definitely an easier investigation. Bravagnan is ready to say what is really on his mind. I had better start from the beginning. It would not do to involve Madame Lancian with our affairs without first ensuring she possesses a proper understanding of how our seminary functions, and how we have been forced to change. You see, most men and women of the cloth go on to live fulfilling lives as pastors, academics, and poets. However, those who graduate from the Scholasticate with the highest marks are given an opportunity to serve in the vault and perhaps one day rise to prominence. The stakes are quite high for those who seek such prestige, for they know full well that their academic performance may determine their future. It is they who strive for the top 3 seats that are granted the Scholasticate's official endorsement, the Trinity. And so those who wish to guide Ishgard's faithful spend their days accumulating marks through academic pursuits, while at the same time honing their skills to persuade others to share their interpretations of scripture. Up until now, it resulted in no more than the occasional lively debate, for the Holy See was ultimately responsible for dictating doctrine. Ranking was naturally determined by one's familiarity with said doctrine. However, in light of recent events, that is no longer an option. Simply put, we cannot currently assess their academic performance in the traditional manner, as a significant portion of the curriculum has been called into question. As a result, we have been forced to consider more subjective methods. And in this time of uncertainty, students are wont to lash out at their peers, whom they fear will exploit this interim system to their advantage. Distressing, I suppose, but what does this have to do with us? I require your unparalleled skills of observation and deduction. The only way to put an end to this bickering between students is to ensure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that our interim evaluations are conducted in a fair and equitable manner. I ask you to stand as an observer. Until a new curriculum is decided, our evaluation system is vulnerable. In other words, you want us to catch the cheaters. Precisely. Now then, I have received word that the headmistress has returned to her office in the cathedral. I would ask that you introduce yourselves. But there is something you should keep in mind when speaking with Headmistress Elviane. She is appointed to her position by the former Archbishop, thus her views on the curriculum are quite traditional. I would advise you to discuss matters regarding the Holy See with the utmost care. She might not be happy to see me in particular, given, you know. Alright, let's get going to meet the headmistress. Once I stop getting stuck on chairs. And looks like her offices are going to be in the cathedral, in the back corner. Sounds good. I'm getting stuck on everything today. Although Uncle said we should speak with care, we would be remiss in our duties if we refrained from asking difficult questions. I trust you agree. I definitely do agree. We have been expecting you. The headmistress awaits you within. That said, that doesn't mean we shouldn't exercise caution. Headmistress Elviane, may I have the pleasure to introduce the individuals who shall be in charge of keeping order at the Scholasticate. This is Consulting Inspector Briardian and his associate Satora Lanzi. Satora Lanzi, I must say, Father Bravagnan, your selections are rather appropriate. We thank you both for your service in our time of need. I trust that Father Bravagnan has briefed you on our humble seminary. Saint Endelium's Scholasticate has produced Ishgard's finest clergy for centuries, including countless men and women who have served in the highest echelons of the Holy See. All of whom were spared a brutal death on the battlefield in service to a misguided war they perpetuated. Or so some might be given to say. Indeed some might, and they would not be entirely mistaken. For while we were wholly unaware of the deception perpetuated by the archbishops, we did unwittingly sustain it to our sorrow. The idea that we willingly subjected them to false precepts is, of course, preposterous, a contrived fantasy. Nevertheless, some fervently believe it true, and though these self-same individuals have come to view our instructors and students as targets for their misguided anger. I think misguided is probably the fairest word you could use. It is of paramount importance that we restore faith in the teachings. Yet how are we to regain the trust of the common man when our own seminarians are embroiled in childish quarrels? You refer to this tension regarding the interim evaluation system. Quite frankly, it is but one facet. Classes have also been suspended until we complete our own painstaking review of the curriculum. Some students have taken leave, while the more dedicated have taken it upon themselves to conduct independent work to demonstrate their merits. We cannot allow this situation to continue indefinitely. Graduation is approaching, and we must make our recommendations. But the senior class is divided. They know not how they will be evaluated. Rather, they understand how they will be evaluated, but have no faith that our methods will produce a fair result. A concern not without merit, I must confess. I too suspect that some may be driven to manipulate the interim system to their advantage. I expect that some have already tried, but that is why we have brought in outside observers. Inspector Briardian, Satora Lanzi, if anyone is engaging in unscrupulous behavior, I should have it brought to an end at once. May the Fury guide you in your task. That was definitely more bold than I would have gone for, Briardian, but it worked well. Let us know pretty well where she stands. So the headmistress also thinks some of the students have attempted to cheat. Surely one who desires to join the clergy would not be foolish enough to stoop to such behavior. The Fury knows all and sees all. Still, they are children. Children whose futures depend on this. Now then, before we proceed, why don't you tell us both a little about your students, Father? My apologies, I am Father Saturnoi. In addition to teaching the fundamentals of Hellenic polity, I also oversee fundraising for the stipends of underprivileged students. While I would like to help you, I think my opinion would not do them justice. I suggest getting to know them yourselves. I feel the same. The way in which pupils speak in front of their instructors is not the same as amongst themselves. In my 10 years of counseling, they have minded their etiquette and are not but cordial to me. However, I can recommend one of my students who is quite vocal. Mayhap you try speaking with the dormitory prefect, Arkambaden. Given his closeness to the students' social affairs, he may also be able to give you the insight into what they talk about. Arkambaden? Ah yes, the silver-haired boy. Son of House Zemail, as I recall. We shall heed your suggestion, Sister Gaetel, and given his duty and status. Oh, him. Well, this is off to a great start then. I am, definitely not a fan of Arkambaden, from what we've seen of him so far. But we'll just have to see what exactly he gives us. So Lay's lackey is helping the inspector now. Lackey? Uh-huh. While I have little interest in noble bloodlines, I am not unfamiliar with the Count de Zemail's sons. Alright, Arkambaden. Has no one ever told you that brandishing weapons is frowned upon in places of enlightenment? That is, unless Leah sent you to stir up more trouble. Rest assured that my associate inspector draws her armaments only to resolve troublesome situations, not create them. We merely came to ask of your well-being and your expectations for the future. Under the auspices of the headmistress, I am sure. Very well, I, Lebrasseur de Bonfar of House Bonfar, in service to House Zemail, present to you Arkambaden de Zemail. As prefects for the Scholasticate dormitory, we are responsible for keeping the peace between our fellow seminarians, and apparently we also like to instigate it too. Instigate trouble too. Correct me if I am wrong, but are you not the foreigner who went to rather great lengths to expose the Archbishop's falsehoods, responsible for the re-evaluation of the entire curriculum? somebody did their research. Quite the resolution, that! And for what? Every great nation's history is marred by the sins of the past. Alamigo, Ulda, Limsa Lominsa, please! Each was built on a foundation of lies and blood. And that does not make it okay, Archibaddon! Which is not to say we elites should not learn from these mistakes, but we who have served as shepherds of the people for 1,000 years have a duty to maintain order through the preservation of tradition. When a Wainwright casts aside his father's best card when it has but a broken wheel? Indeed, Archibaddon and I have said as much to those who support a more radical approach. The last thing we need is young seminarians running about crying for reformation. I see, so you both have been quite active in convincing the other students to see things your way. How have you fared? 'Tis hardly a daunting task. Many seek comfort in consistency. Sister Gaytel has tasked us with bringing back students who took leave. Why not let our results determine how persuasive we are? I thank you gentlemen for your cooperation, and wish you the best of luck with your efforts. Now then, Satora, if these students are bringing back their truant peers, there must be others who are doing the same. Let us split up and seek out the participants. Alright, we're just getting a feel for things right now. Just getting a feel for it. We don't need to beat up a student yet. Oh, he irks me. He doesn't have an incorrect point there. Just because there was corruption doesn't mean everything was bad. But the corruption went pretty fucking deep, and I think he is understating that severely to his own benefit. Especially given House the Mail benefits greatly from tradition in Ishgard. Okay, what's going on here? You too came to hear Kromavoy speak. The wisdom of a scholar with the soul of a poet. When he recites scripture, I just... We've got a ladies' man, then. Can't you talk with him another time? I finally got his attention, and I'd rather you not interrupt. A new exotic flower graces us with her presence today. Well met, my dear. Oh god, what does he say to you if you're a man, I wonder? And what am I, chopped liver? He was looking at me until you showed up. I'm actually just wondering what you're up to in order to earn high marks at the Scholasticate. Ah, I see, so you are helping Inspector Briardian. A pleasure to meet you. I am Kromavoy de Mainteni, but you may address me simply by my first name. So what brings you to the Pillars? Could it be you are to observe how we go about convincing truant seminarians to return? Then by all means, let me show you how it is done. I must admit, I find many of the other students rather intimidating, but thanks to Kromavoy, I am considering returning to the Scholasticate to resume my studies. We were just discussing the responsibility the Highborn have to redress the imbalance. Of the Fury's love will all men receive, and by the balance of her spear will all be set free. So it is written in volume 11 of the 72 Articles of Hellenic Polity. Equal under her ever-watchful gaze. Ah, would that you grace our halls with your presence once more, that I might favor you with mine own gaze. I fondly recall seeing your lovely face always buried in that tome. Oh, Kromavoy, you did notice! I thought to pen a lengthy treatise on it, but I could not make do once the volume vanished. Oh, so you helped Matthew by searching for that tome. With how relevant the contents have become these days, I suppose it is not surprising it would go missing. In any event, you've convinced me. I will gather my things and return to the dormitory straight away. Yes, that is the way. One must seize the moment and act upon one's convictions. Life is but a fleeting, fragile thing. Wouldn't you agree, my dear? Well, I have done my part in guiding a little lamb back to the flock, and now to celebrate with a well-deserved nap. I bid you both farewell. Note to self, teenagers, as always, are driven primarily by hormones. Alright, moving on to, let's see, looks like we're heading down to the... Oh god, Brain, come on, the Crozier! Don't do that to me, that's so rude, Brain. How dare you forget? And what can we learn around here? The almost end, and Lee, how are you doing? Satora, it's good to see you. Fighting the good fight lately? Oh, hello, Satora. Lee and I were just about to visit our friends in Foundation and try to convince them to return to their studies. It's been difficult since we aren't exactly held in high regard right now. The dormitory prefects have made sure of that. We must do all in our power to motivate our friends to come back to the Scholasticate. Then we can strive for high marks together. Right, and then we can convince our peers that we are just as worthy as any highborn in the clergy. They will welcome us with open arms, and all will be well in Ishgard. If our combatant and his cronies receive the Scholasticate's endorsement, no one will ever listen to us. We can't let them take the Trinity. I would rather not think of it that way, Lee. Let us just focus on bringing back as many people as we can. Well, that's how the Highborn are thinking about it. The more vocal we become, the more they will see us as a threat. That's why we have to stick together. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Reform from the inside. You cannot destroy the Master's house with Master's tools. That said, you may be able to weaken the structure, weaken the foundations, make it easier for the needed reforms to take place. At least that's how I like to think of it. Alright, looks like we've got everyone back here now. Blazy, how's it going, friend? All these people are making me nervous. I mean, I was not able to bring anyone back, so I'm not even part of the competition, but even so, I hope that Theo did well. She's so cute with her crush. Oh my goodness, I hope that works out well for her. Curious about the result? I cannot imagine why. I see no reason to expect anything surprising. Well, I did everything I could, and even if I did not guide them all myself, I am glad that so many of our peers have come back. Genuinely though, Theomosent does seem to be the most fit. Just on personality-wise, he's got the right mindset. The dormitory rat has quite the smile on his face. Could it be that he was able to gather more students than us? Honestly, not surprising given his status. After reviewing the preliminary numbers of the dormitory, I am looking forward to the results. Still hate him. If our performance is to be taken into account for the final rankings, then I must say our combatant and I have nothing to worry about. With all the young women returning, mayhap I'll have more incentive to linger in the library. But I do not see Ula. As usual, teenagers are driven primarily by hormones. We shall announce the results anon. It would seem that Arcombated and Leversor had quite the advantage given their experience managing the dormitory. Right then, let us see how competitive these students truly are. It brings me joy to see so many of our brothers and sisters return to the Scholasticate. Sister Gaetel, the floor is yours. Thank you, Arcombatant. I will now announce how many of our stray sheep each student persuaded to come home. Both Theomosent and Lee were able to bring back one student each. John... Oh my god, she's adorable back there! John Shank guided 2 back into our arms. Arcombatant and Lebrosor were each able to convince 3 students to return, the most of all. Excellent work, all of you. Hold on, what? Yeah, no, seriously, what about the student Kromovoy convinced to return? What happened to her? Oh, is this true? Are we missing someone from the Count? The girl you speak of has formally withdrawn from the Scholasticate. Apparently, she was not all that enthusiastic about returning as she led Kromovoy to believe. Mayhap she chose to play along so that he would cease his harassment. Perhaps it was for the best. She rarely engaged her fellow students, instead choosing to sit alone and read the Articles of Hellenic Polity. Given the recent revelations, I suspect she became disillusioned with the faith. The fuck did you two do? I'm surprised they would do this to Chromovoy though and not Theo. The fuck did you two do? Strange you would say that, Lebrosor. When last I spoke with her, Ula was quite interested in Volume 11's equal under her ever-watchful gaze passage, one that you and your master would sooner pretend did not exist. If she were the victim of harassment, I rather expect it was at your hands. Are you implying that we had something to do with it because we did not share her views? What rot! You dishonor yourself and your house with such baseless accusations. Rather you would if aught remained of your house to dishonor. I yield, good sir, I yield. I like the qualities the Honorable Lord Arcombaddon possesses which enable him to deliver such observations. Well, if Ula has withdrawn, then I must mourn her departure by walking through the dormitory halls reciting excerpts from Volume 11. And how do you intend to do that? Volume 11 of the Articles of Hellenic Polity has been missing for some time now. Did we not get you a replacement? What the hell is happening at this fucking school? The tomes themselves are inconsequential if one has taken the words to heart. How fortunate we are that the wisdom of our forebears is not so easily forgotten, would you not agree? Such impudence as befits a sixth son. For all his failings, his father was wise to send him away. At any rate, we are blessed that this handful of truants has returned to us. Truly it is a Fury's will that we overcome these trials and tribulations and move forward with a singular vision for the future. A student with a keen interest in a controversial precept who withdraws without explanation. This seems rather odd to me as well. Mayhap it is worthy of our attention. I agree. Something rotten is happening at this school. Next time on Final Fantasy XIV. I think we're going on a hunt. Find out what happened to the students. Let's hope it's nothing too severe. I'll save for next time for that.